Okay, good evening, everybody. So we are going to discuss tonight uh, the beginning of the stay of the Jews in the Midbar, in the desert, in the wilderness. So as we already discussed, right, that they came out of the Yam Suf, of the Red Sea, after the Kadosh Baruch Hu split the sea for them into 12 parts. Can you imagine? That's what the Midrash says, right? Each tribe got their own path. They went in, they came out, but it's not as simple as you think. What does that mean? That they say in Chazal that the Jews already, while they were in the sea as well, you know what I mean, were already rebelling against Hashem. Can you imagine? It didn't take them even time to get to dry land. They already started to mess around also when they were in the sea as well. So how did they mess around? What did they do? Right. So it says, right, number one, the most amazing thing they say is that as they were crossing the sea, you know what they had with them over there? Not the Israeli flag, with the Magen David. That's not what they had. They weren't Zionists, these people. So you know what they had? They had an idol. Can you imagine? They were taking an idol with them. They had people holding the idol, on their shoulders, with sticks, and poles, going like this. Can you imagine? As they were crossing the sea, from the miracle that Hashem made for them, to open the sea for them, they crossed the sea with an idol, to rebel against Hashem. Wow, such a thing like this. Who can say whose idol was this? Who made this idol, right? What is this? So you know what they say, the Chazal? This was the idol of Micha, right? What does that mean? We already told over the story several months ago, right? That the idol of Micha was actually around in Israel for about more than 800 years, the whole thing. What does that mean? When they crossed over the sea, as we said, right, they had the idol of Micha. Micha was this boy, the Moshe Rabbeinu. He saved one of the Jewish kids from getting used as a human brick, to make the building. So Moshe Rabbeinu went to the Egyptians, and he saw them doing that. And he said to Hashem, "Why do you kill these Jewish boys like this, these little kids? They have to make them into a human brick." So Kadosh Baruch Hu answered him. He said, "What do you want?" He says, "Listen, I'm weeding out the bad weeds from your people, and you're complaining to me." He says, "If you don't believe me, take out one of them and save his life, and see what happens with him. You don't believe me? Go and check it out." So he did so, right? Moshe Rabbeinu took out this little kid, instead of becoming a human brick. So this was Micha, right? Micha was the one who made the idol. You understand? This boy was a bad boy. He was one of these, idolaters. So what happened was that Micha made the idol, and this idol was going with them through the sea as they went through the sea. It's unbelievable. So we see from there, right, the Jewish people were already getting into trouble before even they're being saved. Also, another thing they say, right, that as they were going through the water in the sea, as we said, Kadosh Baruch Hu gave them all kinds of things over there, refrigerators, with the buffet, with the bar, 24 hours a day, you can drink whatever you want, cocktails, beer, whatever it is you want, just reach over to the water, open up the fridge over there. There's like a portable fridge going on there. You take out the stuff and you drink and eat whatever you want. That's what they had. Can you imagine such a thing? This was a miracle that was made for them as they were going through the sea. But instead of thanking Hashem for this miracle that He made for them, so what did they do? You know what they did? They were complaining over there, already murmuring against Hashem. You know how it is,
Why
right? They start to complain. I'm sorry?
Who's serving the idol? Why were they serving the idol?
I'll explain to you. So what happened was like this, right? They started to complain already. What was the complaint? They said, "Oh man, in Egypt, what were we doing? We were taking the mortar and the clay and making bricks, and building buildings." He says, "Same thing over here. We have this soot on the water, on the sea, on the floor of the sea. We have this mortar there. We have all this stuff going on there. Same thing. Just like we can make over there, right? Some bricks from in Egypt from the mortar, from all that clay. Same thing over here in the sea. We have on the floor of the sea." With water instead of buildings. That's what we have. It says they already started to complain. Can you imagine? They said, why did Hashem take us out from there? What do we need this for? It's just a pain in the neck. What is this business? What better is it to be here than it was over there? It's all the same. That's what they were. They were already complaining. Can you imagine? Lack of appreciation, lack of loyalty. Kadosh Baruch Hu, look what he did for them, right? He took them out of Mitzrayim. He took them out of slavery. He gave them all the wealth. He saved them from the Mitzrayim. They were coming to kill them. All the wealth was saved, and they took all their wealth. Became rich, millionaires. Each one was a multimillionaire, and still they're complaining about some details over there, this and that. The floor in the sea is muddy. They don't like that. They don't like the clay over there. It's too muddy there. What is this business?
They were there very briefly.
Right, but you know how it is, right? They always find a reason to complain wherever you are.
I thought the clouds of glory went forward and polished it down.
You ever been on an elevator with somebody, right? Sometimes they'll tell you, oh, this elevator is so slow. It's takes like 20 minutes for the door to open. It's like you're only there for 3 minutes in the elevator, but he already manages to make a complaint about the elevator. Same thing over here. What I mean? They're making a lot of complaints about that. Oh, what's with this? What with that? It's too slow. Too much this. Too much burden. Too much blah blah blah. Everything is complaint. So they went with the idol. Can you imagine? And this was a thanks they give to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for saving them from all the travails that they went through, right? All the slavery and all these things. This is the thanks that they give. Complaints, wise Alec remarks, all kinds of rude behavior, as we're going to see, right? So what happened was that they say that Moshe Rabbeinu, he noticed all this, right? He noticed that they were doing all this nonsense. So what he did was, once he saw that they were already planning, what they were planning to do? While they were in the sea, they were already started to plan. What was the plan? They said, you know what? Listen, Hashem took us out from Mitzrayim. What was the reason? To save us from there, to make us rich. So we should sing the song on the sea, right? Az Yashir Moshe U'Bnei Israel. Okay, so to take us through the sea. He says, we already did all that, let's go back now. That's it, we're done, In other words, all the purpose that we were supposed to do when we left Mitzrayim was fulfilled already. So let's go back. What's the point of staying here? For what? What, going to the desert? With the snakes and scorpions? That's what we want? You know what I mean? They said, let's go back. So you know what they said? Let's go back to Mitzrayim. If Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't like it, too bad. What we'll do? We'll appoint another leader, right? Who's going to be our leader? We'll make an idol, right? Make an idol. The idol will be our leader. He'll be our God. And he will take us back. And Moshe Rabbeinu, if he doesn't want to come with us, let him go to the desert, and hang around with the snakes over there. What do we care? That's what they said. Can you imagine such a thing? So they were already planning, as they crossed the sea, to make a U-turn and go back to Mitzrayim. That's what they were planning. Can you imagine?
All.
More or less, this was the idea. You know what I mean? I can't tell you all of them. There's always a tzaddikim. You know what I mean? But that's the way he wants.
Just sick people.
So planning to go back already.
The idol doesn't even move.
So Moshe Rabbeinu, he saw what was going on. You know what I mean? He noticed. So you know what he did? He gave it to them. This is what a good leader has to do sometimes. He has to be sometimes he's got to be tough.
Right.
So what he did was he said, you know what? These people who are complaining, they want to go back. I'm going to show them now, right? So he took away their idol. He confiscated it, got rid of it, destroyed it, and he told them, stop with this nonsense. We got to go forward. There's no going back anymore. They told him, they said, well, wait a second. They said, listen, what's wrong with going back? I mean, all the Egyptians are dead. All the country will be ours. Right. What? This is the real time now, the real chance to go back and do it. What's wrong with that? We have the wealth, we have the country, we got the land, everything will be ours. What can be better than that? So Moshe Rabbeinu told him, he said, no. He told them, you don't understand. The whole point of HaKadosh Baruch Hu taking us out of Mitzrayim was for what? As we already mentioned, right? It's to receive the Torah. We haven't even received the Torah yet. We have to go to Har Sinai and receive the Torah. If you haven't received the Torah, what's the point of coming out here? For what? It's an excursion? That's what we're coming to do? So therefore, right, Moshe Rabbeinu told them, they said, listen, he told them, this is not the way. I'm sorry, but you guys got to get into shape. We're going forward, not going backward. That's it. Once you left there, there's no going back anymore, right? And therefore, right, the truth is that there is a prohibition, as you know. That what? The Jews are not allowed to go back to Mitzrayim. We're not allowed to go back there. This rule applies until today, by the way. Still halakha.
Many great people have gone
brought
back.
Down in halakha, this rule.
Many great people have gone back there.
So what's the story? The story is that the Rambam says the reason why we're not allowed to go back to Mitzrayim is because he himself was living in Mitzrayim, right? That's the funny thing,
Right.
right? It's the ironic thing. It's a very big irony. So he says the reason we're not allowed to go back is because Mitzrayim is a very polluted land spiritually. A lot of kishuf over there, sorcery. I don't know if this applies today, by the way, but in those days that's the way it was. So today it's like a Muslim country basically, but still, Egypt is like not a regular Muslim country,
Yeah,
not regular thing. You know what that means? Egypt is like also it's a very corrupted place in terms of promiscuity. There's a lot of promiscuity there, a lot more than the other Muslim countries.
Big time.
It's a different kind of a trip over there. It's a different kind of a situation. So yeah, there's a lot of promiscuity there. It's not exactly the same thing as the other countries. So anyway, the point is right that's why Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want us going back there. So that prohibition applies until this day. So what does that mean? A person who never lived there, he never was there, he's not allowed to go back there and live there. That's the prohibition. By the way, this is the only country, you should know, the Rambam says, that the Jew is not allowed to live in there. There's no other country in the world you cannot live in. You can live in Germany, you can live in France, you can live in Russia, you can live anywhere you want, but Mitzrayim, Egypt is out of bounds, out of limits, right? Off limits. Because of the reason we just mentioned. Considered to be the most corrupted land. Anyway, in those days. I don't know if that's the case today, but that's the way it was in those days. So therefore, right, until this day, we're not allowed to go there to live, but you are allowed to go to do business, let's say, right, temporarily. Do a business deal, meet some Mustafa over there, some Ahmed, some guy, whatever, make a deal with him, and hopefully he won't cheat you, because a lot of them are cheaters. But if they don't embezzle you or whatever, so you get a chance to do something there, so you'll come back, whatever. There's actually a story that I was told. It's a true story. When I was in Lakewood one day, one Shabbat, I was invited by somebody there. So we were in Lakewood, and we went to a certain shul there, a certain synagogue. So one of the guys over there recently went to Israel to visit, and by the way, he also went to Mitzrayim, for a little kick, to get a little kick over there. But he didn't realize how much of a kick it's going to be, if you know what I mean, right? A real kick it's going to be, right? So what happened was that he went to the border of Egypt and Israel. He goes over there, right? And he wants to go into Egypt and to check it out. This was before, right, all the commotion that went over there, the civil war and all that stuff. This was before that. We're talking about 25 years ago, right? Something like that. So what happens is, right, that he stands on the border there, right, and there are cabs, Egyptian cabs, that come there and drive you over, to go to Egypt. That's what happens. They drive you, right? So, he was looking for the best price. This guy, how much do you want? How much do you want? How much do you want? Each one gives the price, right? So in the end, right, there was one guy over there who gave him the cheapest price. So he said, "Okay, I'll take that. That sounds good to me." So once he closed the deal with this guy, right, all the other drivers, they overheard, that he closed the deal with him. So these were Egyptians, these people. So they warned him, though, they said, listen, hello, my friend, don't go with this guy. They told him, don't go with him. Very big mistake. They told him, the guy's blind, he's blind. So he thought they were just trying to, cut a deal with them, instead, cut in, whatever, make some money, to put the other guy down, this and that, whatever. They didn't realize, he didn't realize that they were telling him the truth. The guy was really blind. Can you imagine? He was a blind driver, legally blind, almost blind, 100%. So what happened is, it's a true story. He told us. This guy started to drive, He gets on the highway, and he's veering off, left, right, going off the road, and he's telling him, go back, turn this way. That's Can you imagine such a thing? This unbelievable story, right? So this is how he went to Mitzrayim, can you imagine? So I guess that's what happened to him, because he didn't listen to the halacha, right? You're not allowed to go to Mitzrayim. I guess he deserved it, whatever. But you see from there, right, that Hashem, when he tells you that's not allowed to go there, it's not a joke, you know what I'm saying? It's a real halacha, it's from the Torah, it's a prohibition from the Torah, this thing, right? It says right here, right, in the Chumash, that Moshe Rabbeinu told the Jews, right, you will never see them again, you will never go back there again. This is considered to be a prohibition. You know what I mean? We're not allowed to go back there. That's the idea. Also, there's another story brought down. regarding this, right? Which was in the time of Yirmiyahu Navi, which was at the time of destruction of the first temple. So what happens is, right, that Yirmiyahu Navi.
Call for +1-64641-03030.
So Yirmiyahu Navi is now in the land of Israel, and the Beit HaMikdash is already destroyed. So what happens is that come to him a group of Jews, right, and tell him, they said, we know you're a holy man. This is brought down in the book of Jeremiah, right, in Yirmiyahu. They said, we know you're a holy man, and we know you're a man of God. So what we want you to do is, we want you to ask God from us, as a question. Inquire of the Lord, right? What should you inquire? They said, inquire of him. Do you allow us to go to Egypt, to go back there, because the land was destroyed over here. The Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. Nebuchadnezzar came, destroyed everything. We have nothing over here. We can't stay here. We're afraid. Maybe somebody will come and kill us over here. We're afraid of the army over here. We're afraid of the soldiers, of the invaders, all these things. So they said, you know what? Whatever you say, whatever you answer us, we'll do. Just give us an answer. So Yirmiyahu he didn't notice anything. Everything was cool. Everything was kosher. So what he did was he went back to Hashem. He asked him. He said, this group of people came to us. So came to me to ask a question. They want to know if they're allowed to go back there or not. So what's the answer? So you know what Hashem answered to Yirmiyahu? He told him. He said, you really think they're coming to ask you this question? He says, don't be so naive. They're not coming to ask you anything, because whatever you tell them, they're going to go anyway. They plan to go there. They're just looking to justify their sin, by as if like they're asking, it's not like a trick, they're putting on some kind of charade. You know what I mean? So go back and tell them, right? Don't go back to Mitzrayim. You're not allowed to go back there. I know what your tricks are. Right. You really extend to go there. And if you do go back there, right, it's going to be, your blood is going to be on your head. You know what I mean? Don't blame me, because I told you, I warned you. Right. So Yirmiyahu went, right, and he told him this. Don't you dare go back there. Otherwise, you're putting yourself in danger. I'm not responsible for what happens. So you know what they told him? They said, you know what? Now they really revealed their real intentions. So you know what their answer was? They said to him, you're not really a man of God, You're lying to us. You're not telling us the truth. You never asked God about this. So they said, you know what? We're going to go. No matter what you say. Because we know you're a fake prophet.
In the game.
Can you imagine? That's what they told him. So this was Hashem, whatever he said, right? Obviously it came true, right? That these people were not really looking for the truth. They're just looking for an excuse. So what happened was that they went, right? And they went to Mitzrayim. They went down there. So what happened was, right, that all the Jews that went there, you know what happened in the end? It came Nebuchadnezzar and eventually also destroyed Mitzrayim. So when he destroyed Mitzrayim as well, all the Jews also got killed over there. You know what I mean? So exactly right, what they were trying to avoid, that they should get killed over there in Israel, happened to Mitzrayim. Because they don't believe in the Lord, they don't believe in Hashem, they don't believe in His prophets, they don't believe in His prophecy, they don't believe in any of these things. So therefore, right, Hashem told them, you don't believe in me? You're playing games with me? You're trying to make, trying to come to me with this sneaky attitude. Right. Stealthy kind of attitude. Coming to me like that, this is what you're going to get. They say, by the way, that this happened when Nebuchadnezzar also destroyed Mitzrayim, and then also in the second temple as well came one of the Caesars. Roman, yeah, and also destroyed Mitzrayim and killed over there. How many Jews were killed over there by the Caesar over there? We're talking about, they say, millions of Jews were killed there. Can you imagine? And this is also because of the sin of going to Mitzrayim. This was also because of this thing.
Why don't they go back to
So
Mitzrayim?
That's the way it was. They found it very attractive. I don't know. Like today, America is very attractive. You know what I mean? They want to go to Florida. They want to go to LA. They want to go to Muncie. Whatever. Whatever. There's all these places, right? For them, some reason, I mean, it's a beautiful country. But don't get me wrong. But you know what I mean? But it's not asur to live in America. But it was asur to live in Mitzrayim. It's a different thing. Obviously, not the same thing, right? You can't compare one to the other, but for some reason, they have this affinity, towards these places, whatever. Mm-hmm. In those days, by the way, Mitzrayim was like a paradise. You know what I mean? Because it was like there was a lot of plenty there, good business. Everything was really nice. It was a nice life there. It was a very successful country, very bustling kind of thing. Whatever going on there, economy, politics, everything. It was a very
Right.
It was a very attractive place to be. Not like today. Today's a big desert over there. What is it? You know what I mean? Nothing attractive over there today. But in those days, Egypt was a superpower.
It's still that's what to live there?
I'm sorry? Yeah. That's what the Rambam says, right? That even nowadays, it's not allowed to go back to Mitzrayim.
But he lived there.
Right? He himself lived there, right? So what's the interesting thing, right? Why did the Rambam go to Mitzrayim? What was the reason why he was there? So the truth is, right, that he went there because they needed over there. They needed him over there. He was needed like as a rabbi, and also that he was hired by the Sultan, also the king, to be the doctor there. You know what I mean? So he had like a position over there. So for that reason, you're allowed to go to be a rabbi there. If you want to see a modern example, look at Morain Rabbeinu, right? The Banan. He went also there to be a rabbi. How did he go there? Because to be a rabbi, you're allowed to go. You know what I mean? Because spreading Torah, exactly. For that reason, a person is allowed to go, right? Just like if you're allowed to do that also to leave Israel, to be a rabbi somewhere, go to Chicago, be a rabbi there. What business do you have in Chicago? Because I want to spread Torah over there, so I'm allowed to go. Same thing over there as well, right? In Mitzrayim also, that you're allowed to go there for that reason, right? In other words, you're going there for very very specific purpose,
right.
And it's like a temporary kind of thing. Once you finish your job, you're out of there, you're going back.
Yeah.
That's the idea, you know what I mean? So anyway, this is what happened with the Jews, right? The Jews were already, right, planning their avenue of escape to go back to Mitzrayim. Can you imagine? Already then they were thinking about it, even when they were in the sea. So what happened was, right, that once they got out of the sea, so then, right away they start to complain about everything also. This was the attitude of the Jews in general, Why this? Why don't we have any food? Why don't we have any water? Why don't we have any of this? Why is Hashem making us suffer so much? Always complaining. Complaining about Hashem, complaining about Moshe, right? Moshe Rabbeinu. He's not doing a good job. He's not leading them properly. He's not a good politician, He doesn't, he doesn't have, he doesn't advertise on Facebook, whatever. He doesn't have a YouTube channel. He doesn't have any of these things. Just a regular guy. So they don't like this kind of guy. They say, listen, you're not sophisticated enough for us. We need like a sophisticated leader. Gets us into idolatry. Things like this, darkness, witchcraft. We're looking for this kind of stuff. That's what they were used to. That's they wanted to go back to the klipot, right. to Ma. That was the idea. They were not used to a life of kedusha. So everything they got in the kedusha was for them something foreign. Something not feasible, not believable. Right? I'm sorry?
Could you really believe it?
I mean, yeah, you're right. In a sense, you're right. In other words, this was all something new for them. It was a new experience. You know what I mean? Right. By the way, they say, because of exactly what you're saying, what the Chazal say, right? Something amazing in the Gemara. It says, all the generations of the Jews that we had, right? All throughout the history. Everyone. Which was the favorite generation of Hashem? Say the Midbar, right? Exactly. These were they were their favorites of Hashem. This is the favorite. These guys are complaining day and night, right? All they do is complain.
They fall.
They're so they have no appreciation. They have no gratitude. You know what I mean? So how can it be that these people are the favorite of Hashem? Always complaining to Moshe, giving him a hard time. Why this? Why that? You stole from us. You did this to us. You harmed us. This, that, everything. Right? Every possible thing that they could say, they said to him. So this is the favorite of Hashem. You know what I mean? How could this be the favorite? This should be the worst of the generations. We never saw a generation that was so chutzpah, that was so arrogant, that was so thankless in every way. Because they got everything on a silver spoon, a silver platter. Everything came to them for free. No effort, no work, no nothing. And all that, right? No appreciation, zero.
That's also a problem. Getting everything with
That's it. When you're spoiled, you're spoiled. This is the problem. Yeah, you're right. This is a very big problem. And this is why Hashem, in the end, right, he took away this thing. Because he saw that it doesn't yield good fruits, It's not a good way to raise people.
You tell me that the way that the nation was supposed to be originally was with all the benefits forever?
Right, that was the original plan. The original plan was everything should come easily. Parnassah should come easily, automatic, Everybody's a millionaire, everybody's rich. Everybody's above nature, nobody dies. Everybody lives forever. That's what it's supposed to be. It says Zohar Kadosh, that when they came out of Mitzrayim, the whole plan was what? They should live forever. Just like Adam Arishon was supposed to live forever before he sinned. So they say they got to that level also when they came out of Mitzrayim, the Jews. They were on that level. Can you imagine? They were supposed to live forever. The Satan could not touch them, could not get close to them. They were invincible from every side. This is what Hashem gave them everything. A silver platter. The Torah also, you get for no effort. You just sit there and listen to Moshe Rabbeinu. Comes in, right? The gear comes in there, comes in there, comes in there, goes out there, goes out there. Everything for free. No effort. You don't have to sit and learn Gemara. You don't have to, figure out, how to read Tosfot and Rashba and Ritva. You don't have to do these things. This is the hard way to learn. They had the easy way to learn, right? You don't have to know how to read Aramaic or whatever. All these things, nothing. So in those days, everything was easy. That's why they rebelled against Hashem. That's exactly the point. So Hashem said to the Jews, you know what? I tried to with you the easy route. It doesn't go. So now we're going to have to try the other way, right? It's going to give you a hard time. That's the only way you're going to appreciate what you get. You know what I mean? This is also we see with our children, by the way. When we raise them a little bit too much spoiled, so they start to rebel against us because of that. So you got to be not too crazy with the children. Don't spoil them too much. One hand, right, pulls in, one hand pushes out. That's the way it is, right? Don't be too nice. Don't be too nasty either, right? In the middle. Sometimes this, sometimes that.
Right.
It's got to be like we call that Hebrew shiluv. You know what that means, right? Like a compilation of two things going on. Out, in, pull out, pull in, push in, right? All the kind of thing. That's the way it's got to be, right? So that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave them everything on a silver platter, all the wealth. So what is the first thing they do? Complain. What are they complaining about now? Right? No water. There's no food. Where's the bread? Where's this? Where's that? Right? And they had all the wealth in the world. Right? They came out with animals, gold, silver, gems, this, that, clothing. Everything was like they were stockpiled until So what's the big deal? Go to the store. Go to the 7-Eleven. Buy some donuts. Get something to eat. What's the problem? Why do I tell you 7-Eleven? Because there were going over there who were selling, like 7-Eleven is a goy, who sells some Indians, Pakistani guys over there, But same thing over there. There are some people who were selling over there, Once they left Mitzrayim, there were like stands, that they had over there. Yeah, merchants who were selling to them.
Along the road?
Yeah, sure. That's the way it was, So, everybody wants to make a buck. Why not make a buck? Cut. So all they had to do, they had tons of wealth. All they had to do was go buy this, go buy that, But instead of complaining, we don't have this, we don't have that, this, that, whatever. Everything is a problem. Everything's that.
They moved to the Midbar, like 3-4 million people.
Right.
Huge cloud.
Right.
And then merchants.
Yeah, there was merchants. Yeah, actually, that's what they're saying, right?
There were cities.
But yeah, there were like people who used to come out there. The nation that was the closest to that area would come out and sell.
They don't have enough goods to sell to everybody.
Believe me when I tell you, they did a good business with this, right? We see this, by the way, it's actually, brought down later on as we see, right? What happened? That, Moav and Midian, this is what they did, right? They sold to the Jews. They came out, they had stands, they had, even though they trapped them like that, that's something else, right? They trapped them into sinning them. But in the sense that they were able to sell, right? Nobody questions that, right? They were always, there was always people to buy from there. So the point is, right, that what are you lacking? You have everything to buy. You have everything,
First, you have a lot of cattle and everything.
Right, they had everything.
You can eat.
So right, exactly. There's meat, everything. They're complaining about there's no meat. Also, right? What's there's no meat? You have a whole herd. You have
millions.
Exactly right. That's not enough either, right? So what was the point, right? What was really the point? Why were they complaining? For what they complaining? Because they they didn't like being in kedusha. They wanted to go back to the tumah. They wanted to go back to the old way. They were still in that mindset.
Right.
Hanging around in the church, going back to let's go back to the church, we I don't know, this business, with the Torah, Talmud, this is too much for us, this is too holy for us. We can't get into this holiness. It's too great. So let's go back to where we were before. That's what they were trying to regress back. There was their nature, So if that's the case, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu love them so much? It's their favorite generation, right? So the answer is really like what you said. That the reason why he loved them so much is because they were coming from a bad background, a poor, poor upbringing, poor education. Everything was poor, So people like this, when they get in like fresh and new into something else they don't know, so Hashem, has mercy on them. He appreciates that, that they're
trying.
Right, they're going and experiencing that new, that new world, that new order, So HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at them and they says, these people are. they're pathetic. I mean, in a sense, But I feel sorry for them. Like,
Right.
I mean, you got to feel sorry for these people because they're just not,
Right.
they're not in their element. They're out of their element. And they're, like
Out of
groping
their
around,
comfort zone.
like groping around. Exactly, right? Trying to survive.
Right.
It's like people like this. You understand? In a sense, that's who we are today, also.
100%.
Like we're like that. Most of
Trying to
us.
survive.
We're not talking about the yeshiva families, right? We're talking about the regular guys. You know what I mean? That's what we are. We grew up like this, and we're still like groping around, and trying to see what's there.
Trying to
We're
figure
not
out what's going on.
right. So in a sense, Hakadosh Baruch Hu very much appreciates that.
Sure,
That a person comes with an innocent attitude. Okay, I'm willing to do it. Just show me the way. It's gonna be hard, but I'm willing to to go for it. Whatever happens, happens, right? This is why the Hakadosh Baruch Hu considered to be their favorite, because in the sense that they were also very arrogant people, but
innocent.
you're right, exactly, right. There was a certain innocence there,
Yeah,
a certain right, exactly, a genuine kind of attitude. So this is what Hakadosh Baruch Hu liked about them. The fact that they were also like that.
I can also argue that we're the generation of Midbar too.
Yeah, why? What does that mean?
Everything is so accessible. You want dry cleaning, you have this company comes to dry cleaning.
Sure. Everything is available. Yeah, sure. Right.
Same.
But over there, the difference was that basically Hakadosh Baruch Hu gave them everything for free. No money, no charge, no interest, right? No fees, no late fees, no parking tickets, no moving violations, nothing, everything for free. When you have a life like that, what can be better? Hakadosh Baruch Hu gave them. This was like Adam Arishon before the sin. Give them like a Garden of Eden, Gan Eden, give them. Everything is supplied for you for free. Everything, nothing, no effort, no effort need to be made for anything. Your food comes for free. The man came down, right? The man was a very special thing, right? What was so special about it? One of the things that Hashem, they say was special was that whatever you thought that you wanted to eat, that's what the taste would be. You know what I mean? So it's like we talked today, right, about whether you have to say, declare, or thought.
Right.
So over here, even thought was enough. You know what I mean? That's what it says in Midrash Rabbah. It says, right, whatever they would think, that's what it would turn into the food. You know what I mean? So what can be better than that? Free food, and the digestion was right. They had nothing came out of their body. Everything was absorbed, because the man was like a perfect food. You know what I mean? No waste product. When you eat a food, right, there's waste over there. You know what I mean? That's called klipot in Kabbalah, right? That's the idea, right? It's a klipa of the food, right? So over here, the man was from Hashem. There was no klipa there. Can you imagine?
What about the
no klipa.
Right. What about the cattle they were eating?
No, they were not eating cattle. That's the whole thing, right? They never got into that.
You have lambs, cows.
Right, they never got into that. They were eating man. That's what they were eating for 40 years.
How much?
They got the slav, right? They got the slav. Those birds that came, right? And they ate those birds, but that was only temporary. But in a sense, they were eating the man. The man will give them every taste that they wanted. Can you imagine? Hamburger, steak, shawarma. Here comes the shawarma. Here, shawarma's here, right? Even shawarma. Yossi brought the shawarma. God bless you. Wow, amazing. Yossi's amazing. Yossi is amazing.
Enjoy, guys.
Thank you so much.
God bless you.
Don't throw it out. Please eat it.
We will not throw it out. I guarantee you. If we do, you can give us a penalty. You can penalize.
There you go. Enjoy, guys.
Thank you.
God bless. All blessings.
Sorry.
So, as we said, right, that can you imagine? We started talking about the birds, and the bird came right here, right? It's also bird.
You see,
It's this animation, from Shemaim, whatever. We're doing this.
100%.
Okay. So, why is that, by the way? I guess because we're sitting here learning Torah. So when you learn Torah, Hashem provides you everything. That's the way it is. So everything comes out. Exactly. That's the way it is, right?
It's a good sign.
So,
it's a good sign. When you see the benefits, like
right.
Day goes away,
Right, that's it.
You see you see that there's something good.
Yes. So Kadosh Baruch gave them everything for free. Everything was provided. Everything was no waste product coming out. And even that they were complaining about. Can you imagine? Why? What were they complaining about? They said, you know what? They said, this is very dangerous. We're eating and nothing is coming out of us.
Right.
We're not going to the bathroom.
We freaked them out.
So they said, you know what's going to be, right? They said, can you imagine? This was what they said. Our bodies are just going to explode, one day, like a balloon. Yeah, we're gonna explode. This is going to be. This is a very dangerous situation, right? All of a sudden, they have the doctors on the, coming on,
making comments.
Right.
This,
yeah, right. Well, the doctors over there, right, telling them, listen, we can't go on like this, We got to go back to Egypt. We got all kinds of things. Right?
They're always trying to go back.
Right. That was the whole idea. Right. That was the whole idea. Always to go back. So.
I heard also. Sorry, the man also fell with wealth.
This I don't know. I never heard that, by the way. This is interesting what you're saying. This may be one of the secrets over there.
But also, you would have to go out and you would have to collect it.
Right, yeah, they had to collect it. That's true.
But
That's true.
different levels.
But they didn't have to cook, right? They didn't have to prepare nothing. Just.
Some people would get it next to them, right? Next to their house.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's something like that. It's possible. It's possible. I'm not. I recall something like that.
Right. Okay, interesting.
Whatever. Anyway, it doesn't say that in the Chumash what you're saying,
Right.
but
It's not pshat.
right, it's not the pshat, but it's possible something like that actually occurred. But I'm not sure. I never. Maybe I saw it, but I don't remember. I recall such thing. So anyway, right, as you said, that they were getting all these things, so they complained. They said, you know what, we're going to explode with this stuff. This food is not normal. Nothing is coming out. No excretion. This and that. It's probably poisoning us. It's probably like
sitting somewhere.
Right. It's probably like our arteries are getting all stuffed up. We can't.
Right.
We're not going to be able to breathe. Right. Exactly. Trans fat. All kinds of stuff going on there. Right. So you never know what's going to be. Right. We're not going to be able to survive like that. So that we're going to have to do something about that. Start eating normal food. This is not normal. We're living an abnormal life.
It's freaky.
So right. So this was also one of the things that they complained about, and also right, they also complain another thing. Right. They say that the man will take on any taste that people wanted.
Right.
But they say that there were several foods that the man would not take on the taste of those foods. Right. You could not get that taste from them. Right. So one of them was like garlic. Things like this.
Okay.
And also some other things.
Spices?
I'm sorry?
Spices.
Not spices, but other foods. Why those other foods that we're not able to get the taste of them? Because they say, right, these are bad for pregnant women or nursing women. So Kadosh Baruch Hu didn't want to send a taste that's bad for them, so therefore he didn't give that possibility. It wasn't on the menu, right? The menu was, blocked over there. There was a block on that menu.
Right.
So because of that, those 2 or 3 tastes, they couldn't get from there because it's bad. Right, exactly. So that's the reason why. And they complained about that. They said, but in Egypt we used to get these tastes, over there. Yeah, we had spices over there. We had all kinds of, foods, this kind of that, appetizers. Over here we can't get this stuff. So this is also a problem. Everything they could find to complain about, they could complain.
You have clay, make a pot, put some land, grow garlic in your wagon. No, I'm serious.
Right. So that's the way it was, right? That's the way it was. So everything was a complaint. Everything was, and Moshe Rabbeinu was also being, all the time put down, criticized, belittled. You know what I mean? You may think, wow, such an exalted man like Moshe Rabbeinu, must have like such a great time, great life, luxury, this and that, all kinds of honor and dignity and this and that, royalty and this and that. No, his life was all, meat and potatoes. You know what I'm saying? Very, very tough. He had a very tough time with them. Always criticizing him, always speaking lashon hara about him. He was excommunicated. Somebody, somebody, all kinds of, they said they also accused them of, adultery, with their wives, all kinds of things. Oh, can you imagine Moshe Rabbeinu, person who was like an angel, he was a malach, and these people are saying, oh, he committed adultery with our wives, and he took our money also, he embezzled money, from the projects that, they had over there, the Mishkan, whatever was left over, he put it in his pocket, right, embezzled it, right, you know what I mean? He pocketed some money there, right, and all these things they were suspicious about, They used to come out and see him, and, they would look at him, and they would say like, oh, you see how fat he is, he's getting big and heavy, he's probably eating good, because he's stealing our money. You know what I mean? So this is what they were saying. Can you imagine? This is the way it is, right? And they're putting him down, bleeding him, throwing stones at him, stoning him, and they wanted to kill him. They wanted to kill him also. You know what I mean? So everything they could do to sabotage his leadership, especially the bad element, who was there, the Tanda, Viram, all these things, right? That's what they were doing. Everything they could do to sabotage, they sabotaged.
What happened to these people? What happened to these people?
The Tan V'Aviram, what happened with them? They died with the rebellion of Korach. Right? They joined up, You know how it is, right? Always the bad boys get together. Right. The mafia gangsters, they all get into one group, like, we have, right? So they all get into one group, right? And what happens is that, they make a concerted effort together to make problems. All kinds of issues, right? All kinds of things. So this is exactly what happened, right? They joined up with the Korach mafia, and they perished with them together, when the rebellion occurred. Right? That's what happened at that time of Ariam. So, that's why Kadosh Baruch Hu, right, he told Moshe Rabbeinu before he took the job of being leader, he said, you know what, I'm appointing you on one condition. You should know that this is a thankless job. You're going to get ridiculed, you're going to get criticized, you're going to be ostracized, right? Look at Trump, right? You'll see, right? right? You know how it is, right? Leavdil, right? He has a hard time, this poor guy, right? They get him from every direction, this and that. What don't they say about him? He's mentally ill, he's physically ill,
Right.
he's fat, he's this and that, he stole, he's embezzled, this collusion, delusion, delusion, everything whatever they can get on this guy, they try to get on him, That's the way it is. Thankless is a thankless position. Nobody appreciates nothing, right? They always put you down. And then in the end, they'll never tell you and thank you. They never, for what you did for them. And they'll say, oh, well, it's okay. Your presidency is over. Say, go back home. They don't even remember who you are anymore, right? They don't remember all the good you did for them. Nothing, all the things you tried to help them with. Thankless job. So Kadosh Baruch Hu told them, I'm giving you this job on condition that you should be ready, right? They're gonna murder you. They're gonna tear you apart in pieces. They're gonna do it to you. You willing to take it? Because that's the job. If you can't do that, why? Because the Jewish people are complainers. They're very thankless, stiff-necked people, right?
Right.
That's their nature, They don't appreciate. They always criticize. They always find a reason to criticize you. You know what I mean? They know all the secrets. They know how to get to the weak points, that you have. To persecute, to get under your skin. Go in there. That's what they did to. That's what Moshe then had to suffer. So being a leader, that's what they used to say, right? The Chazal. They said that when you go into leadership, you're not going into sarah, right? This is not a position of honor or stature. No, this is a position, you're serving the community. You have to serve them. You become their servant. If you don't have that attitude as a leader,
Right.
you're the wrong type of leader. You know what I mean? If you're looking for status, power, prestige, all these kinds of things, you're in the wrong business because you're not going to get that. All you're going to get is complaints, lashon hara, slander, right? All kinds of undermining you in every way possible, trying this way, trying that way, whatever they can try, they'll do. You know what I mean? This is what Moshe Rabbeinu had to bear. He was leader of the Jewish people for how many years? For 40 years. So 40 years he was taking it every day. This kind of battering him all the time, every time. Right? No. They don't let up. No letting up. Every time they gets battered from every side.
You're trying to sleep with their wives and stuff. This is ridiculous.
Right. So you know what it is that people are.
But he also had friends, Moshe.
What does that mean?
People on his side. Yeah, people on his side.
Yeah, the tzaddikim were on his side. Sure, yeah, tzaddikim were on his side. So Hakadosh Baruch Hu, right? This is what basically the midbar, the stay in the desert. They say, by the way, another interesting thing, right, is that they say that the man came, the first place that they camped, that the man came. You know what the name of that place was? Alush. If you look in the Chumash, you'll see, right? Alush was one of the stops that they made. And altogether, 42 stops they made, the man was coming. 42 stops. Can you imagine?
Right.
One after the other. This was for 40 years, right? So all these 42 stops, says the Midrash, that it started in Alush. So the question is, why this place, right? And why they call it Alush?
Right.
What is the significance of this name, right? So they say it's connected to what Avraham Avinu said, right, to Sarah. What does that mean? That when the angels came to visit Avraham Avinu after he got the Brit Milah, after he was circumcised, right? So what happened was that he served them, a meal, right? He brought them food. First it was the bread. The bread didn't work out because his wife became tameh. She became an nidah, so they didn't serve the bread. But in the end, right, he served them cream and butter, and then he gave them after the dairy appetizer.
Right.
He gave them also meat, right? What kind of meat was that? Tongue, it says, right?
Oh,
Chazal say he gave them the tongue from 3 calves, which is a nice delicacy, right? A beautiful delicacy. So they say, right, that all the things that the Jews got in the wilderness, all the good things they got, the man, the clouds of glory that were protecting them from all sides, right? All these things they got over there, this was in the zechut, in the merit of Avraham Avinu, what he did for those guests, for those angels. Can you imagine? Kadosh Baruch Hu was preparing in that episode the whole stay in the midbar, in the wilderness.
Well, I thought the clouds of glory because of Aaron and the water from Miriam.
Right, that's true. Because of the merit of these three, right? But they say that the basis, core cause, was because of Avraham Avinu, what he did with the right. So what did he give the angels? He gave them first water, right? To wash their feet. So Kadosh Baruch Hu gave them also water, right? In the desert, and he gave them food. He gave them meat. He also got meat, and they gave them all. They made the bread. They made the bread, and all these things, the water, and right, all the other things, right? And also he told them to go and lie under the shade of the tree. This was the clouds of glory, right? That's shading them, whatever. Right? All these things. So they say, right, that all those things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that Avraham Avinu gave to those angels, they were exactly the same thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to us. So what does that mean? The merit was coming from there. The basis of the merit was from there. And they say, by the way, that if you look at the episode over there, if you read in the Chumash, right, about what was brought to the angels and who brought it also, what you're going to see is, right, that there were some things that were directly brought by Avraham himself, and some things that were brought by others who were there. Right? Ishmael was there also. Ishmael, he was training him, right? So part of the stuff was brought by Ishmael, and some of it was made by his wife, Sarah. She made some things as well. So all these things were made by different people. So what happened was that whatever Avraham Avinu brought himself personally to those angels, the Chazal say that Hashem brought personally also himself to the Jewish people in the desert, without an intermediary. But whatever he told others to do, right, that was done by an angel. Just like, in other words, just like Avraham Avinu gave it from a third party, right? So also Hakadosh Baruch Hu did it through a third party. This was the idea, So it was all midah k'neged midah. It was all a reward for what Avraham Avinu did for those angels.
There was a huge pillar of fire before the camp, right?
Right. Yes.
It was like a living flame, right?
Yeah. Sure.
So this thing, was it the Shekhinah? What was it?
Yeah, this was all. This was all Shekhinah because it was Hashem's presence there. Divine presence was there. So there was a fire, there was a clouds, right? All these things. These were all Shekhinah. These were all miraculous, like holy, right. These are all miraculous and holy things, that were going on. The fire was at night, they say, right, to give light. At the daytime it was the clouds, right? Different times of the day. You had different element there, whatever you need, right? LED, fluorescent, everything was there.
On Shabbat,
whatever it is.
What happened on Shabbat?
I'm sorry?
Would they stay? Would they stop?
On Shabbat. That's interesting what you're saying. Right, truth is, right, they were keeping the Torah, so that means that they were not able to right, because you can't walk outside the tchum, right, of your domain on Shabbat. So that would probably, mean that they were not going on Shabbat, right? And one of the things actually that Kadosh Baruch Hu tested them on was that, he told them not to gather them on Shabbat, as you know, right?
Right.
This is one of the things. So one of the first mitzvot he gave them was Shabbat. He told them, he said, I'm going to test you now, right? One little thing I'm going to test you. Just don't gather them on Shabbat. Gather it 6 days a week. On Friday you're going to get a double portion. So there's no reason to go on Shabbat there, So Kadosh Baruch Hu just tested them. They said, you know what, just keep this. And Chazal say, right, if they would have kept that first Shabbat that he gave them, no nation would be able to rule over them ever. There would have been no galut. There would have been no subjugation of the other nations. Would have been if they would have just kept one Shabbat.
They did.
Right. The first Shabbat they already broke. Right? Can you imagine? Nothing has changed, right?
What about those who did not break the first Shabbat?
Yeah, you're right. It's true. Not everybody broke, But the problem was that since there was public desecration, and they didn't object, so this like becomes, all called Israel Arevim Zelazeh. You know what that means? All the Jews are responsible for each other.
Yes.
So when you see somebody sinning and you don't say nothing, as if turn a blind eye, so you're also responsible for that. But by the way, that only applies if they're going to listen to you. If you know they're not going to listen to you, for sure, you're not responsible for them. But if you're not sure, or if you know they may listen to you, so you have to object. You have to say something. That's the whole thing, right? So what happened was that the Jews in the Midbar, the first Shabbat, they broke because of this reason, right? Who was it? Datan Daviram, and they went with their friends, right? So what did they do, right? They pulled the trick. The trick was that they wanted to embarrass Moshe Rabbeinu. That was their whole prerogative over there was to make him look bad, to undermine him. Like today they're doing to Trump, these people. You know how it is, right?
Only the righteous were inside the cloud of glory.
I'm sorry?
Inside the cloud of glory, only the righteous sit.
Sure. You know what that means? The Erev Rav was outside. You know what I mean? The Jews who were keeping Shabbat were inside. The Erev Rav was outside because the Erev Rav was not keeping these things.
What about the Datan Aviram?
Datan Aviram, they were inside because I'll tell you why. Because they actually were religious people. They were keeping mitzvot in Torah. You know what I mean? They were actually officers. These people, they had like positions.
They were just
You know,
corrupted inside.
right? They were right, exactly. But they were like rebellious people. Exactly, they were corrupted. But the truth is that once they broke Shabbat and all these things, it's possible that they were they were expelled, right? And they came back in, whatever. It depends on the situation. You know what I
The
mean?
whole thing, like it would spit you out, and then as you would like,
If you do tshuva, you go back in. That's the way it is,
it would
right?
swallow you again.
Sure. That's the way it is, right? And they knows how to test you. They knows how to. There's a meter over there, right? They test your your righteousness. So what happened was that they wanted to undermine Moshe Rabbeinu. So their trick was like this. They said, you know what we'll do is we'll go out, on Shabbat, and we'll see if there's something there. So if there isn't, just in case that Moshe Rabbeinu was telling the truth, there's not going to be anything there, right? So what we'll do is we'll save some portions from Friday, and we'll tell them we got it on Shabbat. So then we'll tell Moshe Rabbeinu, but you told us it's not going to be there on Shabbat. You see, we found. We're gonna get you, right? That's what they wanted to do. You understand? They wanted to undermine him. This is how people are today. That's the way it is with human nature.
Right.
These wicked people. That's the way they are. So they try this trick, to save. They put it in the fridge, the leftovers from Friday. They saved over. They said, let's go out there, and see if it's gonna be there. If it's not, we'll get them. So what happened was they went out and they found there's nothing there. Just like Moshe Rabbeinu said. What did they think? So then what happened was that they came back, right? They opened up the fridge and it's all rotten. Hakadosh Baruch Hu made it all rot. So they couldn't pull the trick on Moshe Rabbeinu that they wanted to.
Right.
That they wanted to. You know what I mean? So, but nevertheless, right? Since they didn't keep that Shabbat, so all the galut and all the exiles and all the sufferings, the subjugation that we had from the goyim, from the wicked empires that they subjugated us, came from this first Shabbat, right? They didn't keep. So they say, right, to the Chazal, you learn from there also another important thing, right? Which is what? It says in Shabbat, Masechet Shabbat. Kuf Yud Chet. It's over there. It says over there that if a person keeps, right, Shabbat, nobody can subjugate him. Especially if he keeps the 3 meals. So, Shalosh Seudot, right? With 3 meals of Shabbat, he does every one of them. Not like the cheap way, right? To eat, some people, what it is, right? They like to, the first 2 meals, they have a normal meal. And then, right, third meal they skimp. They have some vegetables. Some right, they eat some crackers. Some crackers and herring. They have. What happened? You don't want to wash your hands. Have a little bread. What's the big deal? According to halakha, you have to have bread for Seder Shlishi. Right. You know what I mean? That's the halakha according to Shulchan Aruch. Even though there's another opinion, but stam v'yesh, right? Stam v'yesh. The rule is halakha is like stam. Right. So the second opinion is not the halakha. People don't want to understand these things today. We have here some, people who call themselves dayan. He calls himself a dayan, right. And he tells people that they don't have to eat bread for Seder Shlishi. What kind of thing is this? He doesn't have a Shulchan Aruch. This person doesn't have. He doesn't have. I don't know what kind of where he grew up. This person.
What are the benefits of eating the 3 meals? Like, what do they correspond to?
So they say, right, that the 3 meals. Can you imagine a person who does 3 meals is saved from 3 things? It says in the Gemara, right, over there in the Shabbat. One is shivud malchuyot, right, the subjugation of the exiles. He's saved from that. Mm-hmm. Nobody can subjugate him. Nobody can touch him just because he has 3 meals. Can you imagine? But it has to be 3 meals, not 3 snacks. I'm not talking about that, right? This guy comes and tells him to have a snack.
Right.
Snack is a meal? What kind of thing is this? Where does he get this from, this guy? Where does he come from? The moon he came? I don't know where he came from, this guy. So that's the way it is. You got to tell people the truth. What kind of thing is? I never saw anybody, any serious Jew, in my life. I've seen so many rabbis, so many great people that eat on slush yeshit, not bread. I've never such a thing like this. Where does this guy come and tell people like this? He's causing people to sin like this. Telling them to eat vegetables, have salad on slush yeshit. What kind of thing is this? Who told them this kind of thing? That's only when you don't have bread. Who doesn't have bread today? Somebody like that, they doesn't have bread. Right. If you have bread, you should eat bread. What's the problem? Yeah, it's an obligation. It's a total obligation.
What is this? The 3 things of exile?
Number 1 is the shibud malchuyot, right? The subjugation of the right. Then he's saved from Gog and Magog, right? The war of Gog and Magog. Can you imagine? 3/4 of the people are going to be wiped out in that war. Billions of people are going to be wiped out. Just eating, opening your mouth and eating, you're saved from that. Who can? Right, exactly. Yeah, that means you're saved. Yeah, that's saved. So we have Shivud Malchuyot, we have Gog and Magog, and also Chevle Mashiach. You know what's Chevle Mashiach?
Good things.
Right. What does that mean? That there's a lot of suffering that's going to be before Mashiach. A lot of terrible things. Like we see terrorism, these kind of things.
Right, nonsense.
People are getting stabbed, blown up.
I'm sorry, but you told me one time there's a fourth obligation for the fourth meal, the final meal.
Right, that's a different thing. That's also important, right? But I'm talking about in terms of this, in terms of the. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about the stay from all these things. And comes this guy, and tells them to eat crackers and salad. What kind of thing is this? What are you joking? By the way, you should know that also there's also another thing that I see which is very bad. There are some Jews, unfortunately, who what they do is they have on Sudash Tishit, the third meal, they have matzot. And they think that, I can make mezonot on this, and make mezonot. They don't have to wash your hands. They're lazy, they want to wash their hands. They don't want to say birkat hamazon. God forbid, they should say a couple extra brachot. God forbid, Maybe they may be stressed out from that too much. So they don't want to do this, So they what they do is they make mezonot on the matzah, and then if you're lucky they'll make an al michya. If you're lucky, if they don't forget whatever, they make al michya. Right. So the truth is, right, that even according to Sfardim, the Sephardi custom, that many Sephardim have the custom to make on matzah mezonot, not during Pesach. It's true, but when it comes to Shabbat, when you eat on Shabbat, it says maran achida. Right, that you have to make hamotzi on that when you eat on Shabbat. Even if your custom is to make mezonot all year round on matzot, like the Sfardim do, a lot of Sfardim, but on Shabbat, no. Why? Because the chidah, because every meal you have on Shabbat is like important. It's a meal. It's not a snack. Right. So therefore, automatically becomes hamotzi, even if you're eating matzot. That's what he says. The chidah. Who also did that? Morin Rabbeinu, Maran Shalom. He also, right, on matzot, he made hamotzi, didn't make mezonot on
all year.
Right, all year round, yeah. That's what we heard. Even though in his books he writes the custom is not like that. He writes the custom is to make mezonot, but he personally was making hamotzi.
So why you write down matzot, it's better to do hamotzi?
Yeah, but you got to pick like one, one way. You can't do one day this, one day, right?
Right.
Alternation, alternate side parking. That you cannot do, right? But what you can do is, either pick this or pick that. I personally make hamotzi on matzot. That's what I believe in. According to what I studied. That seems to be more logical, more realistic.
It is bread. It's leavened bread.
Right, exactly. It's bread. Yeah, it's bread. And also the truth is that there's an issue with that. It's problematic to make two brachot on one food. You know what I mean? On Pesach it's hamotzi. On the rest of the year is mezonot. We don't find in the Talmud any food which has two brachot according to seasonal demand.
Right.
Or seasonal.
Right.
What do you mean? It's this or that. Where are you? You can't be here and there. Both sides of the fence. Sitting on the fence. What kind of thing is either you're there? That's the way it has to be. But Chida says, but if you eat it on Shabbat though, even the ones who have bracha custom to make mezonot, they should make hamotzi because the Shabbat kovea. You know what that means? Shabbat makes it into a meal, no matter what.
Right.
So therefore, right, a person should be careful to keep the three meals of Shabbat. And in this chut, can you imagine? He gets saved from all these terrible, horrible things that are gonna. They're going to occur. The truth is, right, that according to Zohar Kadosh, we'll end it with here, right? I will tell you that amazing says Zohar Kadosh, something amazing. It says that, the Chazal tell us, right, all the blessings come from Shabbat.
Right.
What does that mean? That whatever you do on Shabbat, it's like a microcosm of what's going to be that week, right? Whatever you were able to get, to suck out the power of the holiness. It's going to come to you throughout the week, whatever you got from there. That's all you're going to get. It all comes from there. So, what the Zohar Kadosh says about that? It says something amazing, right? That the reason why is Shabbat the source of all the blessing throughout the week? Because on Shabbat, the powers of Tumah, right, of impurity, are not working. They're not functioning. You know what I mean? So it's like just basically the whole well springs of holiness are open, and you can just suck out everything, with no mixture of unholiness there. There's no unholy powers working on Shabbat.
Right.
In the heavens, you understand? They're all resting. They have a rest day. You know what I mean? It's also for them a day of rest. You know what I mean? They're resting. So what happens is, right, that now you can pull out everything, and this also the way it applies. It's an amazing thing, right? They say that this is even though Eretz Israel is better than the other lands. Why? Because in Eretz Israel, the powers of Tumah are never ruling over there.
Right.
All throughout the week,
really?
They don't rule over there because the power of Eretz Israel is so strong. The powers of Tumah cannot establish themselves there. They can't get established.
They run away.
Right, exactly. They can't sit.
Right.
Not possible. Hashem is too strong there. They cannot sit there. They cannot dwell there. So, but they say, right, but in the diaspora, on the outside of Eretz Israel, during the weekdays they can dwell. But on Shabbat though, even outside of Eretz Israel they can't dwell because Shabbat is so strong. Can you imagine? Right, exactly. So therefore, the powers of Tumah cannot dwell anywhere on Shabbat in any place. So this is the reason why Shabbat is the source of all blessing, So whatever you get from Shabbat, since it's all pure that day, that's what you have throughout the whole week. Because throughout the whole week, there's Tumah there, which doesn't allow you to get blessing. You understand? So the blessing comes from whatever you got from Shabbat.
So what is the best to eat?
So therefore, a person, what should he do, right? I want to tell you, right? Moreno Rabbeinu, what is he used to? He used to learn all day on Shabbat. He would eat the meals, yeah, of course. He would eat the meals, you know what I mean? But basically, what happened was that he would stay up all night and learn all night. That means what? He would have the dinner, with the family. He would, go out, pretend like he's walking around, hanging around, until they finish eating their, sunflower seeds. The Israelis like to eat that stuff,
Right.
They like to,
hanging out.
Mm-hmm. Right? They eat that stuff. Then they talk along some things, whatever, and the rabbi would be hanging around outside waiting for them. Once they would, all leave and go out from the room, go to sleep, whatever, then he would come back, quiet, and learn all night, get the books out. Remember? They were sleeping, and in the morning they would wake up and he would find them already right there, right? Oh, Rabbi, you're here. He was already there because he was up all night. He didn't sleep on Shabbat. So one day he sleep just in the afternoon a little bit, a few hours in the afternoon. After the morning meal, he would sleep. By the way, you should know this is the better way to do it according to the Kabbalah. What do I mean? That the Zohar Kadosh says that the powers, the best time to learn on Shabbat is right, and also in the morning as well. You understand? The well springs of learning are open, but it says right that once the afternoon comes, they're not open anymore. So therefore, that's not the best time to learn. So therefore, right, the Mekubalim, like the Arizal, and the Rabbi also, who was a great generation, he would sleep in the afternoon. Because that's exactly the best time to sleep. You know why? Because that's not the best time to learn at that time of Shabbat. You know what I mean? So therefore, that's when they used to sleep. That's the way it was. But before that, they were up all night learning, right? And that's the way it was. So that's why he was zocher to do this all week like that. You know why? Because he was doing that on Shabbat. That's the way. Right. It's a reflection of what you did on Shabbat the whole week, right? Can you imagine? So everything comes from there. The spiritual blessing and also the material blessing. Everything comes from there. Right? Everything is sucked out from there.
What is the benefit of doing in the Birkat Hamazon on a cup of wine?
They say there's a lot of blessing on that. Yeah, we're going to have to discuss that one time.
Right.
We don't have time now, but the truth is, right, they say that there's a big blessing, but the custom is not to do it now. Right. For some reason, this custom was, it just left the world. Most people don't do it. Do you see anybody who does it? You do it. That's very nice, But the truth is, if you go to most religious families, you're not going to see it.
Right.
You're not going to find it today. But the truth is that this is considered to be a very nice thing to do, especially if you have a wife, right? And when you finish the Birkat Hamazon,
right,
then you send the cup to her to drink. It's considered to be a great blessing for her.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
We have to discuss that one day. Yeah, you got definitely a lot of stuff going on there, right? Right. That was the whole idea, right? The Chazal, that's what they used to do. Rabbis used to do. They used to make Birkat Hamazon. They used to hold the cup and they would give it to their wife, and this was a great blessing for her. It would give her make her fruitful, multiply.
Right.
All kinds of things. Okay, Baruch Adonai le'olam amen. Chazak u'baruch. 1 hour and 3 minutes. Very good. Okay. It all got recorded, Baruch Hashem.
Huh?
It all got recorded.